the wing. Then he's making them run all the way back. I don't know if you're like me, but I've been watching all these Ruben Amorim training sessions clips, and I am going to play it in a second, but I'm really impressed by it because we're seeing just there in that little clip how they're playing with a 3 at the back, the wing backs, they're playing out from the back, they're switching to the wing, then he's asking them to move the ball but not give the ball away, then go long to the person up top. We're sort of seeing from those videos how Ruben Amorim is going to set us up and how he wants us to play. The more interesting thing that actually I do want to get into is you can see the way that Manchester United have lined up in these videos. I'm going to zoom in here and share my screen with you again. But you can see just through these videos that Ruben Amorim has sort of lined up in his 3-4-3 system. And it's answering a few questions about how the players are going to play at United. You've got Euro as the right centre-back, Evans is the central centre-back, and Shaw is the left centre-back. There's always been questions, is Luke Shaw going to be a left centre-back? Is he going to be a left wing-back? I think he could play as both, but I think with his injuries and lack of mobility, he could be a left centre-back. Antony is not in the front three. Antony is playing right wing-back. He does have a good defensive work rate. Malacia is back at left wing-back, and I have to say Malacia's been looking all right. Casemiro made a midfield pivot. I think Casemiro would be the more defensive of the two. Ahmad, Mount, Rashford, front three. And I think we're sort of getting indications of how we're set up with sort of Mount and Ahmad sort of suit that wide number 10 roles where they're not a natural 10, they're between a winger and a 10, which suits Mount and Ahmad. Rashford is the number 9. Antony at wing-back, which has always been the big question. Shaw at left centre-back. And I think from these clips, we're starting to actually get a little bit of an idea along the lines of, oh, this is how Ruben Amorim could set up. This is quite interesting. And we're seeing his training sessions, and I want to dive into his training sessions, but they look really good. They look really clear. I can see just from Ruben Amorim's training sessions what he wants to do. So I'm going to break down Ruben Amorim's first week in training and what we're seeing. But obviously, earlier, we were seeing the fact that Ruben Amorim was, but every time they lost the ball, Ruben Amorim was making them sprint all the way back. Ruben Amorim demands intensity. He demands work rate. He demands that his team gives 100%. And when they were losing the ball, they had to run all the way back. All the way back is what he was asking them to do. And I liked that. He was demanding intensity, but he was also asking them to play in this sort of 3 at the back system and play out from the back and play it wide and play it fast and play it direct. So let's have a little breakthrough of Ruben Amorim's training sessions. I'm going to put it on mute, but we sort of got Ahmad walking in here, and then we've got clips. And I won't show you the whole thing, but we've got clips around of the United players just doing little passing drills. And then Ruben Amorim setting up this activity. And this is where he sets the Man United players up in this 3-4-3. He first of all does it where he just puts all the players in the 3-4-3, all the first team players, and just shows them how he wants them to play without any opposition. So the formation that I showed you, the 3-4-3, that's where he had the Man United players. Then, if you skip forward a bit here, but they're obviously doing quite well. Mount scored, and that's Man United getting used to playing the 3-4-3. He then brings in the youth players. You know, he's got the youth players involved. He's pointing them at what to do, and I really like that. I also see Amorim very heavily involved with the players. He was actually marking Johnny Evans at one point, instructing players where to go. The youth players then get involved. And if we skip, you can see they're doing the same thing, but now all the youth players are getting involved. We will talk about what youth players were involved there. He's getting them to do that drill, you know, the 3-4-3, get it up the pitch, keep possession. If you lose possession, you've got to get all the way back. And Man United are moving the ball around quite nicely here. And as you can see, it's sort of switching out wide, going direct. It's working really, really well. And that's where he makes them run all the way back, as seen earlier. If we skip forward a bit, we can see Ruben Amorim instructing them a lot, having conversations with Maino, making his instructions clear. And one of the things Man United players complained about was actually that Ten Hag didn't always make his instructions clear. A lot of Man United players complained that, you know, Ten Hag wasn't always clear with instructions. They didn't know what he wanted to do. And I think from watching this video, and this isn't me trying to shit on Ten Hag, but from watching this video, I think it's really clear what Amorim's trying to do. And I think he's coaching it really well. Whereas with Ten Hag, I couldn't really tell you what Erik Ten Hag's trying to do in some of his training sessions that we used to watch. You know, with Amorim here, you can see the players being asked to run around, they're being asked to get back, they're being set up in a formation, and it seems to be quite effective. He's got all the youth involved, and there's a lot of them running back. Look, he's making them run back there, and he kicks the ball back. Every time they score, they got to get all the way back. work super, super hard, which is what I like from Ruben Amorim. And I think it's working well getting the youth involved, and we're seeing the likes of Euro. So I don't want to show all the training, but it is on YouTube. But I want to break down sort of Manchester United's training sessions, what's been going on in them, because I think it's really interesting to see what youth players are involved and what I thought was particularly interesting from the training session. I will do a news video later today. Do not worry, guys. But these were the academy players involved. Camerson, Kingdon, Murray, McAllister, Curley, Sharp, Cocconi, Jackson, Ethan Williams and Jim Thwaites. I think Thwaites been fantastic lately, scoring free kicks. Obviously, some academy players won't be involved because they're representing their countries, like Scanlon, Fletcher, etc. Obviously, Ethan Williams has been good. Obviously, Wheatley's representing the country. Harry Amas's, Cocconi. So we had a lot of the young players in there. We spoke about Godwell Cocconi in my live stream last night and the impact that he might potentially have coming in, which will be really exciting to see. 6'5", I think, or 6'4". He's only 16 years of age. He could make a big impact coming in the future. Not this season, not next season when I say big impact coming in, but I think in terms of his physical stature and the type of player he is, I actually think he's a player that could make an impact in 2 years. And actually, out of all these centre-backs at the club, I think because of how good he is off the ball and good he is physically, he's got the most potential coming through. There is a report actually that Ruben Amorim wants to fast-track Obi Martin as well. We will talk about that in more detail. He's on international duty. Obi Martin, Sekou Kone could be fast-tracked. I'm going to discuss that in my live show tonight. And then we had Tom Eaton as the sort of goalie, Lenny Yoro, Malacia Mount, Maino, Casemiro, Ahmad, Antony and Rashford were some of the senior players involved. Obviously, Johnny Evans was also involved. Luke Shaw was also involved, as we can see. But that's a list of some of the players that was involved in training yesterday. And these are the training photos. You can see who's involved there. I think, one, it's really good to see Lenny Yoro back in. There's actually reports saying that Lenny Yoro might be available for the Ipswich game. Mason Mount, Lenny Yoro and Kobbie Mainoo, 3 players who've suffered injuries back in. And they're 3 players that are seen as actually, they could be quite key under Ruben Amorim. He will take a liking to them. Lenny Yoro and Kobbie Mainoo in particular are the 2 youngsters he views as special, wants to build around. But if Mason Mount can stay fit, he does suit Ruben Amorim ball. It's just, can he stay fit? We don't know. But we dive more into the pictures. Casemiro and Shaw. I think it was interesting that Luke Shaw was playing as the left centre back. Maybe that's because he's more suited to it than Malacia. Maybe he will play left wing back. But I think with Martin as having a bit of a back injury, and I think he's back in England now, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Luke Shaw left centre back. He's played it before with Malacia at left back multiple times, Brandon Williams at left back multiple times. And I think with his injuries and how much Amorim demands from his wing backs, I think that could be a smart decision. Casemiro's been looking good lately. Malacia, I thought, was quite good for the under-21s, and he's working his way back, but probably won't be ready to play just yet. And then Amad Diallo. And Amad Diallo, if you looked at all the training clips, looked really impressive. Scored a few goals, the touch, the movement, dribbling around players. Like, Amad Diallo is a player that I think is going to do well under Amorim. I think because if you watched Amad at Sunderland, and Amad Diallo was absolutely fantastic at Sunderland. He played not as a winger at Sunderland. He almost played as a wide number 8, a wide number 10. There's 2 types of wingers. There's touchline wingers, which is what Ten Hag wanted, and then there's number 10, which is just a number 10 on their own. And then if you sort of split with sort of 2 10s, you almost have these sort of wingers that are more central wingers that are in the half spaces. And that is what suits Amad Diallo. He's a half-space winger. He can play as a touchline winger. I think he's done all right under Ten Hag and Ruud, but he's a half-space winger. He thrives in those central zones because of his technical abilities, his ball retention, that I think it's so exciting to have Amad Diallo involved. I think it's so exciting. I think he's going to do well. I think Rashford could do well with the directness. Hoyland, I think, could really benefit from Amorim coming in. I think the question is around the intensity of the players off the ball and the injuries, but I do think it's a really exciting time for United. I think Antony could even do well in the wing-back role. But the other thing I wanted to see is I liked that the players were all posting top session today from Rashford, Mainoo posting. It looked like the players really enjoyed the session. And according to Bruno Fernandes, the reason that Man United got a lot better after Ruud van Nistelrooy came in is because Ruud van Nistelrooy brought enjoyment back to training. It brought a few jokes, allowed them to enjoy training and brought a fun atmosphere to training. And maybe Ruben Amorim will do that. We know with Rashford, every time a new manager comes in and changes the environment of United, he seems to play a lot better. So, he seems quite happy that Ruben Amorim's there. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Bye.